Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview covering VCT Americas KICKOFF 2025. For this occasion, I'm here accompanied this time by Xeppaa of Cloud9, coming off of a victory over NRG at the start of their run in said competition. So, Xeppaa, job well done on the victory. Great way to kick off. You see right there with the pun. The event with a W over such a team like NRG. So, gotta ask you the obvious opener. How are you feeling? How tough of a match was that, and how good does that must feel for you to come out of that victorious?
I mean, every match is tough. Obviously feels great to win against NRG, considering everything. I think it's always good to win, but the job's never over until we qualify. We'll take this win, bring the momentum to against G2, and we'll see what happens then.
Yeah, for sure, that's the right mentality to have. But I gotta ask you about the match overall. I mean, like for first off in map one, it kind of felt like NRG was going to return the favor over to you guys. Especially looking at the last time you
Mhm.
guys faced off on the VCT main stage, you guys coming back over on them to knock them out, and then they were going to like come back on you guys to
Yeah.
to start off 1-0. Just want to ask you like how crazy was that first map, especially like on the second half in which they were just gradually clawing their way back into it and eventually forced overtime, but then you guys made it wait. So how was that for you?
Um, to be honest, I wasn't worried. I think after the match and things like that, I know my teammates were a little like nervous maybe as they're coming back. But I mean, being up 10-2, it's hard to be nervous in that point. We knew the half could have been hard if we didn't win pistol. So I mean, when you're up 10-2, you kind of just like have to save your ults and like try to squeak out round by round if it comes down to it. But we already knew that defense was going to be hard for us. Um, but then leading like round by round, I don't like even though they were coming back and I know they made it to OT. At least like the confidence in me knew that we are gonna win the round or win the game. And obviously, like until like they win the game. But like I never thought for a second that we were gonna lose the game, even though they were coming back.
Yeah, like that's definitely the right mentality to have, and it was exactly that in which you guys came out of that with the victory and had that series lead heading into Lotus, and then it was at Lotus in which I mean it was kind of like the same story but in reverse in which NRG was you guys started off well, NRG clawed their way back, and then you guys came back with authority to close it and come out victorious on Lotus. I mean, was it similar to what happened over in Fracture, or if not, then what was like the biggest differentiating factors behind how difficult it was to face NRG?
Um, I would say if and it's hard to say. Like for me, I think both games, we're very confident, and I feel like no matter what they play, we just knew we can outplay them in a sense. I mean, like we were up 10-2 on Fracture, like I'm sure everybody's mind that the game was gonna be over, like a quick map one, and then coming into to game two, pulling up we're playing Tejo Breach. We knew when we saw their comp that it was probably gonna be like not an easy win, but we were gonna win the game. Considering like we have so much faith and confidence on our comp compared to their comp, and I'm sure like they practiced maybe against this comp before and they had like a game plan around it, but we knew in the back of our minds that our comp was better, and we just had to do what we've been doing in practice.
I know you cannot reveal too much about the comp, talking about the intricacies of a comp, but I mean it was pretty interesting looking at the double sentinel, with the Tejo and the
Mhm.
deadlock. I mean, what was like what did you see guys what did you guys see in that comp that that gives you the confidence to bust it out for the server?
Um, I would just say like the biggest thing is Teo coming. I was an agent maybe for like a week and a half. Obviously, like I'm sure a lot of teams try to play Tejo and maybe see if he's playable. And if he is playable, then many teams don't have enough practice or enough time to like get the full value, like or see the full value of how good an agent is. So in a sense, like it could have caught them off guard. We took the gamble and risked changing everything up before the season started. Obviously, we had comms, and I'm sure other teams had comms that they were playing before Tejo, and I guess you can say the gamble paid off.
I'm gonna have to do a correction on myself in which Tejo is not Sentinel. It is an initiator, so
Yeah,
pardon myself on that. But yeah, like I gotta ask you the Tejo because obviously you played the Tejo, and there was at a point in Lotus in which you started off like 15-2, 13-2,
yeah.
like craziness, but such is kind of expected for you, when you go hot. But I gotta ask you, what are your impressions on the agent? Do you feel like it has like the potential to be like a very broken agent or something?
I think honestly after this week, I think Tejo is a very, very bad agent, and I think we're gonna move away from Tejo, obviously, and that's about it. That's all I gotta say.
No, 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 like in-depth reason, like why or
How we just play the agent, and I think we use the maximum capacity of how we can use it, and I think it was a good way to throw off the opponent for just one game. So I think we'll be moving off from
all
the
right, all
Tejo.
right. All right. Well, then again, that since you said that, I'm going to be expecting Cloud9 to maybe play Tejo again to just kind of like thwart any opponent
We'll
or
see.
maybe G2 off.
You might see four duelists in the brimstone. Who knows?
Yeah, to taking that playbook from Team SMG back in GC champs last in 2023. So
Of course, of course.
yeah, definitely looking forward to that. But nevertheless, I got to now focus on to the team itself. I mean, I had opportunities to talk to various members within the Cloud9 squad, and obviously how I would say tumultuous or more so eventful that off season was for you guys. But so now I want to ask you in particular, since like at this point, since you've been in Cloud9 for a very long time, you're kind of already not. It's not new to have that kind of situation happen within that org. So that said, I want to ask you, Xeppaa, how'd you kind of look back on the offseason overall, just having to like make so many switches before the start of this incoming year?
The biggest obvious is like I and everybody else wants to stay with the same team for as long as we can, And when things don't work out, then changes need to be made. I obviously, and I'm sure my other teammates don't. It's not like we want to switch out a player 2, 3 weeks before the event after spending so much time together as a team. But I would say like I'm happy with the this iteration of the team, and I'm happy of how we're playing and how we're practicing. Hopefully it shows up in the later matches, and we can finally qualify for an international. It's been a long time, but yeah. I mean, shout out to my teammates.
I mean, I gotta look at Mitch in particular because I believe there was like plenty of like praise for his calling, especially from like the broadcast. Listening to Baby Bay and Doug during that stuff. I want to ask you, like, since like Mitch's came back, has there been any difference in just how he's been kind of composing himself as a player slash IGO? Compared to the first in which you guys were together from like the start up until like 2023 or
Yeah.
2022, 2021.
I mean, the biggest thing is when I was playing with Mitch before, he was a Sentinel, and Vanity was our IGL at the time. So, Mitch wasn't like speaking a lot like he is now. In that sense, it's different because it is not weird, but it's just new to me that obviously Mitch is IGL and he's constantly speaking, giving ideas and like how he wants to play out the rounds and things like that. And I think Mitch and I have a similar mind where I can bounce off him and he can bounce off me, and vice versa with everybody else on the team. And I think it's a good addition for our team. He fits us well in and out of the game, and I think we'll see something special as this team goes on.
Speaks to the level of maturity and growth that you guys have had throughout your careers. I mean, looking at Mitch's inclusion, it kind of speaks to like Cloud9's. I don't want what's the right word. More so like their knack of bringing in familiar players from the past
Mhm.
over into an org. I mean, at this point, looking at Cloud9, there's been like Vanity and Mitch. I mean, two nickels. Like if I had a nickel for every time Cloud9 would bring back an old
Mhm.
player, there would be I have two nickels, which is kind of weird, but I mean it's strange that it happened
Yeah,
twice. So
understandable.
like, I ask you to I ask you, Giuseppe, like why does Cloud9 has this like knack of bringing in past players, over the years?
It's hard to say because I think the biggest thing is when things happen and changes happen. Like, I guess in a certain extent, there's not many options. Obviously, we can take the gamble and bring up tier 2 players and things like that. But when in the moment when things happen, it's just like we do look at all our options. And it's not like um we go with familiar faces because of the people who's on the team, and I feel like every past iteration of C9, we were so close. Yes, like I feel like we've been like one or two, maybe one game for the last 3 years to qualify for any event. So it's not like the players we pick up or we pick up is like we're terrible or anything like that. We have the confidence, and I'd say like my coach or anyone like to pick up these players and finally win. And the thing is like playing for so long with like let's just say Rooney, Mitch, and whatever like the people we play with before is like we know like maybe the problems they had, like or the other things like the good things they bring to the team. And sometimes we just we kind of have to do what we think works. And I mean, if it was up to me, I wish I could make my own team too. Like I would pick up like every best player, but that's just not the case. And we kind of have to do what we got.
I want to squeeze in one more question before I wrap up because I'm already getting the ping to wrap up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just focusing onto your Twitter, Xeppaa. I mean, there was one tweet that you put in early on in November in which you said, and I quote, "I managed to sniff Faker's chair at T1."
Mm.
What what's the story?
I mean, the story is that we were boot camping in T1. T1 was in at Worlds, somewhere in Europe. I don't know where. And the facilities there. Had to take my chances. You know what I'm saying? And this is what happens now, as you see today. It's all because of Faker.
So like the scent gave you the aura that
That
Faker's aura then?
exactly, exactly. It just everything. I just need that little inch of power, and I got it.
That's absolutely fucking wild that such a thing is possible. But I mean, you do you, King. Nothing else to say other than that. So that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Xeppaa,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for the interview. I really do appreciate it. And of course, best of luck goes
Appreciate
to
it.
you moving forward, man.
You too. Thank you. Thank you.